Welcome back, asset builders, to Happy Homes Portfolio Power-Ups. We spent time talking about risk and cost control, but today we shift to the exciting part, revenue generation. Your investment property is a business and you want to optimize its pricing. Our core focus is simple. Don't just collect rent, maximize your yield. If you are guessing what your unit is worth, you are leaving thousands of dollars on the table. To talk about setting the right market rent and prioritizing high ROI upgrades, I'm thrilled to welcome one of our outstanding property managers, Britton. Britton, thanks for stepping in and sharing your expertise. You analyze the Charleston market every single day. What's the biggest pricing mistake you see landlords make?
Thanks for having me. The biggest mistake is assuming last year's rent is good enough. Landlords often raise the rent 2% because it's easy, but they don't look at the data. They think they're managing, but they're leaving money on the table. My job is to make sure every property is priced aggressively, but intelligently.
Let's dive into that data. We call it dynamic pricing. Britton, what are the 3 most critical pieces of information you pull before setting a new rental price, and why is that better than relying on last year's numbers?
It's always about recent activity. We look at 3 things. Recent comparables, or comps. We look at properties that have rented in the last 60 days. What did they actually lease for, not what they listed for? Also, market absorption rate. If similar properties are leasing in 7 days, we know the market is hot and we push the price higher. If they're sitting for 40 days, we list sharply to ensure fast placement. And then finally, specific features. Your price is not based solely on square footage. Is there a dedicated parking space? Is there a backyard fenced in? These details justify the extra $50 to $100 a tenant will pay.
That $50 difference is $600 a year, and it costs sometimes nothing extra to the owner. That's pure profit. Now, once you establish that high price, we sometimes need to justify it with upgrades. Where do we spend the money? We advise owners stop fixing and start investing. Britton, from a tenant's perspective, which upgrades deliver the biggest emotional impact that justifies the higher rent, and which ones should investors ignore?
The best ROI comes from things the tenant touches and sees daily. I separate them into 2 groups. 1, high impact, low cost aesthetics, the $50 rent bump. LVP flooring is number 1. It's durable, modern, and high appeal. We also focus on simple cosmetic changes. Updated cabinet pulls, modern light fixtures. It costs maybe $1,000, but makes the unit look instantly refreshed. You recoup that investment in less than 2 years with a slight rent increase. And then 2, the convenience factor, the $100 rent bump. If you can provide a washer and dryer, do it. In a competitive market, that amenity is the biggest rent driver, hands down. We also see good returns on smart home technology like Nest thermostats or Ring doorbells because it appeals directly to the modern, higher income tenant who values security and efficiency.
So investing in the curb appeal and convenience over things like high-end plumbing fixtures that the tenant won't see is the key for maximizing that yield.
Absolutely. We are chasing rental income, so we spend money on what drives rental income.
Finally, we can't forget about turnover. Britton, losing a good tenant can cost $1,500 to $2,000 easily. That's why keeping them is the ultimate strategy. How do we ensure that the quality tenant we work so hard to find actually stays?
Retention is just strategic maintenance and communication. First, we know that your property is only as good as your tenant screening process. So we start with great residents who pay on time. To keep them, we focus on responsiveness. For example, we demonstrated that automation isn't a luxury. It's your profit margin because our fast maintenance response time keeps tenants happy. We close work orders fast and we follow up. A happy tenant who feels cared for is far more likely to renew.
What are the small gestures that make difference during renewal?
Instead of just handing them a 5% rent increase, we offer a smaller increase that will incentivize them to stay instead of incurring moving costs. The impact of that is negligible compared to a month of vacancy, which is your biggest cash flow killer.
Britton, this is phenomenal. Mastering the rental income is clearly about using market data aggressively, investing into the high ROI upgrades, and prioritizing tenant retention.
The bottom line is you have to be smart and proactive to maximize your asset's potential.
Exactly. If you want to stop guessing your rent rate and start using the data-driven blueprint for Charleston portfolio, we can help. Check the link in the show notes for our ROI Upgrade Quick Reference Guide that details which renovations give you the biggest bang for your buck.
Thank you for tuning in to Happy Homes Portfolio Power-Ups. Join us next week as we dive into navigating legal landmines, how to handle lease violations without getting sued, with our lead property manager, Shelby. Until then,
Keep building that empire!